You're listening to The Curtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to The Curtis Riggs Show. This segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Each week we have the opening interview with Coach Riggs. It's brought to you by the folks over at Good Sense, and they have the best bread over there. It's just breader, and that's what they want me to say, is it's just breader. At Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs, come see what fresh really is, and they deliver anywhere in Sioux Falls. And he is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs. Coach, welcome back. This is your 16th year, I believe, at the helm of the Sioux Falls Storm, isn't it?
Seems like you're number one, Rich.
Well, hey, that's good. That's a good thing to say. If it feels like you're fresh and starting off, coming off. It's been 7 months that we've all been kind of have to think back about the loss to the Arizona Rattlers in the United Bowl 50-41. How have you spent that time reflecting on that loss, developing a plan for this coming year? How does that all fit into Coach Riggs's philosophy and feelings going into the 2018 season?
Well, the one game doesn't decide how we look at this season. I mean, the one game was us playing very poorly with a team that was very wounded, and Arizona came in and showed us no mercy. So I think last year showed us more for preparation for this season, more so than just that one game. I just felt like, we got by in positions where it was the best that we could do at that time. And with an off season, we feel like we could address those, get better, and I think we've been able to do that.
Well, tell us a little bit about those changes and some of the positions that you're looking at change, because you've had a lot of your players that have retired or that have not returned, so there's a lot of holes. Tell us about that.
Well, it works in different ways. I mean, some retire, some decide to go somewhere else, and some are not welcome back. And that was the case in all three phases.
Okay.
There was some that retired, and there was some by their choice and some by ours, or given the option to go somewhere else, and some that we just didn't feel like they were the right fit to move forward with us, and some that just hung it up, and we would have welcomed them back with open arms. They just thought, it's time for me to move my life in a different direction. And so that opens the door for a lot of new players. And that's what we have right now. Especially, I thought I'd make things really difficult with Coach Hermanson, and you have the number one defense last year. Well, let's clean house and start over then. And that's what I challenged him with.
So how many defensive people are coming back from last year?
Well, we have two. We have two guys back from last year's defense. So, and that's where a lot of the players are. Some decided to retire, and some had to move on because just life. And they want to keep playing, but they can't. And then others, it didn't work out. And so we felt like we could find better, and it's going to be a work in progress. I mean, it's going to be one where the guys last year, they knew the system. I mean, they got it. They could communicate very well together, and they played well together and fed off of each other. And we've got to build a new core that people will rally behind.
One thing about it, though, Coach, when you have a change like this and these people coming in, they're all new, they're fresh, they're also hungry, and they're looking for quality time on the field. They're looking for quality teams. And they're hungry for being able to get new film on themselves and to be a part of a tradition of winning. So would that be a very positive thing coming into a camp where you got guys that are hungry?
For sure, yeah. And I think you're right. I think hungry and determined to show that they can play for us, that they can fit in with our schemes and systems, and Coach Hermanson will adjust things based on them, but the one thing I will say is it's probably one of the most athletic groups that we've ever had.
Right.
I don't know if we've ever assembled a group that can really run around the field like we have right now. Now we just got to got to get them all on the same page and try to prep them for the defending champs right away.
Talking to Storm head coach Curtis Riggs on the Curtis Riggs Show. This segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. I was at practice the other night. That's probably the tallest offensive line that I have ever seen in Storm uniforms.
Yeah, it's a big group, and you know, but then you got Darian Oliver, who's not very tall, but's got a lot of fight in him, and it's really good group, and that's one of those areas that when we talk about how do we improve, that was number one. That was our number one focus. I felt like, you know, Mungro did such an unbelievable job last year, stepping in, playing center for us, and he did a good job. It's not his natural position, though, and he never once complained about it. And then he was hurt. He was hurt at the end of the season there, and he still tried to suck it up and play. And it didn't go very well, and we kind of had to bounce back and forth with him hurt and Jabari Buckley. And then we dismissed Kyle Bryant. And that was at a critical time for us. And so we felt like we can go out and get better. And I think we've done that up front now.
When you think about this year, what has changed more for you as far as the head coach and this team is concerned? The playbook and the plays that you've adjusted for who you have, or the personnel itself? What has changed more for you this year?
You know, that's a good question. I think a little bit of both. I think playbook and getting guys how I approach, how we're going to build and adjust, and what phases we're going to implement the offense. We've taken a different approach this year, and so we'll see. I would expect that we're not going to be as in tune, but I feel like at a certain point, hopefully sooner than later, we'll be really good. And I think Coach Hermanson feels the same way defensively.
Well, I'll tell you what, Coach, we're going to talk about your offense a little bit later on in the show, but I appreciate being back with you again. It's exciting to start this new season. Still to come on the show, we'll be talking to Tom Falcinelli, the Director of Officials, and want to talk about some very key points. There's going to be challenges this year as far as coaches are concerned. Also, we'll be talking to the Commissioner, Mike Allhouse. So, Coach, we'll be talking to you after a little bit, and we'll have a preview of the Rattler game coming up this Sunday.
All right. Thanks, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs, and this segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs, and they've been sponsors since day one. Come see what fresh really is. They deliver anywhere in Sioux Falls, and their subs are just breader. That's Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. You're listening to the Curtis Riggs Show right here on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back right after this.
I'm Bill Ladwick.
The biggest difference in Boyer and other truck dealerships is the fact that we're an employee-owned company. From the front of the building with the sales to the back of the building with service and parts, you're dealing with the owner of the company. We have the smallest vehicles all the way up to the biggest vehicles. We're a truck dealer by heart, and by design, we deal in the whole gamut of the vehicles. There's not a lot of dealers that do that. This is a relationship business, and I enjoy the relationships a lot.
The Rosties wanted their new house to be unique, so they went back to Fireplace Pros. The upstairs is traditional, but the downstairs is very modern. They are delighted.
We wanted a different look and feel within our house, and Fireplace Pros, as always, helped us make it happen. They're the best.
Visit us on the web or stop by your nearest Heat and Glow or Heatilator dealer. Fireplace Pros, Heat and Glow, and Heatilator. You're going to love the way your home feels.
You're listening to the Curtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosty.
And welcome back to the Curtis Riggs Show. This segment brought to you by Eastway Bowl, the perfect spot for family fun. And Eastway Sports Lounge, the official Storm road game viewing party hosts for all Storm fans. And the first viewing party is going to be this Sunday, February 25th, when the Storm travel down to Phoenix, Arizona to take on the Arizona Rattlers. Kickoff is at 4:05 Sunday afternoon. Since the end of last season, the Storm family has lost two of its former members, wide receiver Carl Sims and certified athletic trainer Norm Stone. Last October, Carl Sims died in Spokane, Washington, from injuries he received in a shooting on the street. At the time of his death, Carl was 31. Carl played for the Storm and was an amazingly talented wide receiver. And after his time here in Sioux Falls, Carl compiled tremendous statistics with other teams he played for within the IFL, retiring as second all-time in receiving yards with 5,046 and third in career receiving touchdowns with 111. No matter where Carl played, he impacted that team on and off the field. Personally, Carl would seek me out whenever his team played against the Storm, and he would greet me warmly with his quick smile and genuine and kind words. For me, Carl Sims was truly one of the great ones. Norm Stone was an athletic trainer for many years with the Storm and died last week at the age of 53. Norm was the very first head trainer for the Sioux Falls Cobras and then continued that role with the Storm before returning to active military duty. During his first military stint, Norm served in Desert Storm. During his time with the Cobras and Storm, Norm endeared himself to the players, coaches, and staff with his total commitment to his athletic training duties, but even more with his passionate love for this team. Many will remember his comical antics and revelry during the many bus rides home, but even more will remember during their time of injury, when Norm came onto the field of play to assess and treat them, that Norm's professionalism and calming and reassuring manner would care for them with the highest levels of sports medicine, and through his rehabilitation expertise would restore them to game-ready condition. Norm and I were very close friends during our time together with this ball club, but during the past several years our lives took different paths and our meetings were far apart. Even so, when we did see each other again, the bonds we once held were quickly renewed, and the stories we shared were spiced with true laughter at the remembrance of such fun times. To close this small tribute to my friend and this man who was so important to the Cobra and Storm organizations, I give to Norm one final salutation, the same greeting I said so often to him in the training room and on the bus. Mr. Norm Stone, the man with the tape. We'll be back right after this.
No matter what you do.
Waiting to see a doctor?
What's taking so long?
It can take a while.
I don't have time for this.
Or longer than a while.
We've been here 2 hours.
Forever.
Hello?
What would you say if there was another option?
Finally.
Yes.
It's about time.
We're inclined to agree. It's about time for the best patient care. Sioux Falls Urgent Care.
You're listening to The Curtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to The Curtis Riggs Show. And this segment brought to you by the Storm Ticket Giveaway, and that's brought to you by Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. So after the interview, we'll take the third caller, 336-1230, for 4 free tickets to the next home game that's going to be on March 12th as the Storm hosts the Cedar Rapids Titans. Joining us now, he is the Director of Officials for the IFL, Tom Falcinelli. Tom, great to have you on the Curtis Riggs Show again.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Rick.
Well, I tell you what, one thing I wanted to bring out, there was one of your officials from the IFL was honored by being selected to be a part of the national championship game of the NCAA, and I thought that was really a neat article that I saw about him. Mike Stunberg, and did a great job evidently in that ball game. And tell us about what it meant for you to have one of your guys get to that level of a contest.
Well, let's start first. Yeah, congratulations to Mike, who worked the national title game between Alabama and Georgia, but also to Kevin Keyser out of Arizona. He worked the semifinal, the Sugar Bowl with Clemson, Alabama. We got Rick Fonstock, worked the Temple, Florida International Gasparilla Bowl. Andy Warner out of Arizona, the Military Bowl. Mark Warner worked your FCS title game, North Dakota State, James Madison, and it just goes on and on and on. So, yeah, I'm proud of these guys. But I've always been on record as saying we have some of the best officials in the United States working in this league, and it's proven by where they're going in college.
And that's what a part I wanted to bring out, because a lot of times folks don't realize that all of the training that goes into it and all of the training that you give to them during the course of the season that they have to take part in and to basically practice is making and elevating the officials in this league, and it's showing up all across the country as these guys go out and work their other conferences.
Well, in essence, working in the IFL, it is the fastest football game in existence. And you're seeing 150 plays a game, and the intense speed of this game, what it does for you when you get into the fall season, it slows the outdoor game down for you. So the guys just love coming in, for spring and getting these reps on the field, because it just makes them a better outdoor official. And basically how that works is it just slows the game down for them, because there's no other league game faster than indoor football.
Now, coming into the season this year, Tom, we're talking to Tom Falcinelli, the director of officials for the IFL. Every year there's always going to be some rule change. There's a major one I want to talk specifically about, but could you give us a rundown of any changes in the rules that the fans might find interesting that they have been changing?
Really, there were no major changes this year, a couple of edits, but the biggest change is we're going to institute replay this season.
Right. Well, tell us about that, because it is going to be more comprehensive than I believe than any other league, is it not?
Well, personally, I'm a vote against replay. I believe you should always live and die with the call on the field. It bogs down the game. So what we try to do is we're innovative in the IFL, and we've drafted a rule where basically the intent of our rule is to permit the head coach to challenge any situation that arises during the game. Mm-hmm. And that could be unique. If he thinks defensive pass interference should have been called, he can challenge that, and he's got to be specific. What number? We had DPI, or, hey, there was an illegal contact that wasn't called, but the coach better be correct, because he only gets 2 of them. He'll be awarded a 3rd challenge if he gets the first 2 correct. And as far as our standard review, in the NCAA, of course, it's beyond all doubt by indisputable video evidence that you can overturn the play. We're just saying we're going to use the referee in his discretion. He just has to be convinced by the replay provided that a reversal is warranted. And he's going to use his discretion. He's going to use how our evaluators evaluate the play. If the call needs to be changed based on what he sees, he's going to change it. So it's going to be hopefully a very simple process. I think there's going to be a lot of bugs in the system when we get started, because this was just recently instituted. We just hammered down the rule about a month ago. So it's going to be a work in progress. But again, we want to allow anything to be challenged. That's it. Keep it simple.
Now, how are they going to actually watch it? How is that going to happen?
Well, what happens is the head coach of the team will throw his challenge flag, and then what will happen is the referee will go over and get a hold of the head coach's iPad, and they're going to review it on there. VidSwap did a great presentation at our clinic down in Dallas last December, and it's just a really professional system. They're going to have a bunch of different angles, all on the iPad, and they can scroll, they can stop motion, they can go frame by frame, and they have we're going to put a 4-minute time limit on it and make the decision and then move on.
So pass interference, offensive and defensive pass interference, that's going to be challengeable. Would other things like face mask and things like that, if the coach specifically says, hey, number 77 did this, look for that, and you find yes or no, would that be correct?
Well, here's what it's going to be. Again, the coach can challenge any situation that arises during the game. Examples: positive yardage gain at the end of the game, 3 in motion, forward progress, stopped or not, kicking team off sides, DPI, belt violations, no belt violation, was the runner down, anything he wants. We're not going to allow line to gain plays to be reviewed, but anything else, the coach can challenge it. We're not going to allow replay to create a foul. So if the coach challenges a catch in the end zone and in replay we see offensive pass interference, We're not going to create offensive pass interference. Only the catch is reviewable. If the coach wants the OPI reviewed, he's got to be challenging, and we will create that foul if we missed it on the field. That's the only situation where we will create a foul. But it just keeps the process simple. Coach, challenge anything you want. You're getting 2 of them. If you get them both right, we'll give you a third. So they got to be pretty specific. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds as the season progresses.
It will cost them, though. They have to, if they do not win the challenge, it'll cost them a timeout, and they have to have a timeout to be able to challenge. Is that correct, Tom?
That is correct, yes.
Well, I think it's going to be very interesting. But the one question that I have is that for first downs, that is not reviewable. And what's the thinking behind that?
Well, little secret in officiating mechanics, and I think this is my 6th year. You've never seen a measurement in the IFL. My wing officials, our linesmen and line judge, they sell those first downs. It is either a first down or it is not, and let's sell it and move on with the game. I mean, our wing officials are really good. They will make that instantaneous judgment as to whether a first down has been made or not. They've been doing this for, like I said, my 6 years in this league, and we've never had an issue. And also, we're probably not going to have a good camera angle on that, so it's not going to be challengeable. The goal line will be challengeable, but the line to gain for a first down is not going to be a challengeable play, and that's the only one that we're not going to allow.
Okay, now that brings up a very good point as far as the ball game is concerned. Are all of these facilities going to have the same camera angles?
Well, each team, I think they were permitted up to purchase 6 to 8 cameras. I don't know how each team is how many they're going to buy, but hopefully they'll have a couple end zone ones and a couple sideline ones. It just depends on the particular team.
Okay.
And wherever you're playing that week, you have to go with what that team purchased in the package originally from BidSwap.
Well, very good. Tom, great to have you on the show. As always, great information. We really appreciate what you have done for officiating within the IFL and the quality officials that you have and the training that you give them, and we applaud you for all of those things, Tom.
Well, there's a reason they are the best in the country. Thank you, Mr. Rossi. Appreciate it.
Very good. Tom Falcinelli, he is the Director of Officials with the IFL, and just great to have him on the show. Now, when we go to break, we'll take your third caller for the Lewis Pharmacies ticket giveaway. We'll give 4 tickets away for the game coming up on March 12th. And you're coming up next, we'll have the commissioner of the IFL, Mike Allhouse, and you're listening to the Curtis Riggs Show on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN.
So you need to see a doc.
If you like to bowl, roll on into Eastway Bowl. Hey, wait a minute. Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full of fun entertainment center. There's many things to do. Games, and more games, plus food. Great food. Come into our full-service sports bar and grill where you'll find terrific drinks with our popular late-night specials. Watch all your favorite sporting events at Eastway. Visit our website to make your bowling reservations and find out more about the full fun experience. Eastway Bowl and Entertainment Center, where there's something for everyone.
Breathe easier when you have your ducts cleaned by Waterbury. Call us today. Routine services can save you money in the long run. Call Waterbury to schedule yours today.
You're listening to the Curtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosty.
And welcome back to the Curtis Riggs Show. And this segment brought to you by Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. And after the interview, we'll take your third caller at 336-1230. 4 free tickets to the next Storm home game. That's March 12th as the Storm hosts the Cedar Rapids Titans. Joining us now by the fan line, he is the commissioner of the Indoor Football League, Mike Allhouse. And this is the 10th anniversary of the IFL. Mike, great to have you on the Curtis Riggs Show. Well, we will try to make a reconnection with Mike Allhouse. But anyway, it is the 10th year of the Indoor Football League. And the first season was back in 2009. At that time, there were 19 active teams. In the second season, 2010, there were 25 active teams. And now this year, there's going to be 6. So we'll be talking to Commissioner Allhouse about the changes that have taken place, about the future of the Indoor Football League, and how this whole off season transpired. And Mike Allhouse has been with the league as commissioner. I think he's been with the league the whole time, but he's been the commissioner for the last 6 years, I believe. So, Mike, are you there?
I'm here, Rich. Sorry about that. I guess we had a bad connection.
Well, I'm glad that we made it connected, and appreciate you being on the show. How long have you been with the IFL, and how long have you been commissioner?
Not quite as long as you, but I'm getting there, Rich. Let's see. I started with the IFL for the 2010 season. I was hired in 2009, but it was after the first season had already been played.
Okay.
So this will be my 9th season working in some sort of capacity in the league office, and I believe it'll be my 5th as commissioner.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Been around for a while.
Yes, you have. Now, one of the things that I just mentioned, while we were making reconnections, is that the first year was 2009, and there was 19 active teams. The second season, in 2010, there were 25 active teams, and now in 2018, there are 6 active teams. And there's a lot of different reasons why all of this happened during the course of this past 10 years. But maybe give us a summary of kind of the progression of the league over this past decade.
Yeah, numbers are something that you always obviously want as many good quality teams as you can possibly have as a league, especially at our level of minor league professional football. So back in the early days of the league, as we were being established, the league was, as you know, formed out of a merger between 2 existing leagues, and I think there was a few AF2 teams, and kind of a sprinkling of a bunch of leagues across the nation that all melded together to form the current version of the Indoor Football League. Self-admittedly, I think the leaders that were in the league at that time probably knew that probably half of those teams had no business being in business or operating at that level. So unfortunately, you go through these peaks and valleys of operating at a professional independent minor league level, where again, we're not affiliated with the NFL. We're not affiliated with a major professional sports league. We're an independent league. So you go through these dips and valleys from year to year. Unfortunately, as far as a numbers standpoint with our teams. But the one thing that I'm definitely proud of with our league is that the quality has always gotten better and better. Those our numbers have dwindled to now 6 active teams. We have 8 teams, 2 that will be dormant, not participating this year. But 6 active members. Our quality has never been higher than it's been now in the history of our league, and that's something I'm very proud of.
One of the things that fans have asked me about, they said it was really quite an off season, and tumultuous might be an understatement as far as how things went down. The league was at 10 teams last year and losing 4 for the course of this season. Can you give us a brief summary of kind of how things all played out from the league standpoint?
It was a very interesting off season. Tumultuous, I guess, is the word that you could use, but for me, it was something very interesting. The landscape of this industry is always unpredictable and ambiguous at best. As much as we try to plan ahead for the future, a lot of things are very difficult to predict in the present, which affects kind of the direction and the vision that you have for your league and where you want to take it. So it was definitely a very, very interesting offseason between teams that are no longer in existence and won't obviously be competing in the IFL this year, mixed in with a few other teams that we had hoped would be able to participate with us this year, but unfortunately will not be able to do so until 2019.
One of the things that all happened during the course of this off season, there's a lot of changes that went about, a lot of different things, and it wound up in court, and finally things were all ironed out, and the season goes on with 6 teams. Was there a time, first of all, that it looked like this league was going to merge with somebody, or was there also a time that it looked like this league wasn't going to be in existence this year?
I would say probably no on both fronts.
Okay.
We have a very good, solid core group of owners in our league. We have a group of owners, headed up by Jeff Lamberti, our chairman of the board of the Iowa Barnstormers, to Larry and Kathy Trinkler at Green Bay, and Chris Kokalis and Ken Mininsky in Cedar Rapids, Charlie Boston in Nebraska, Ron Schertz in Arizona. We got a group of very committed, and Todd Tryon, obviously, there in Sioux Falls as well, that are just committed to the IFL and the quality and professionalism of our product that we have here. So there was never any instance during the off season where, as bad as things may be perceived on the outside, as far as what people may think, the inner workings of what has happened in our league during the off season, as bad as they might be perceived. We've always had a good core group of owners that are committed to the IFL, committed to our league, committed to our fans and our communities, and committed to making the IFL the best possible league that it can be. So there was never an instance where there was not going to be an indoor football league for the 2018 season and foreseeable future during the off season. And secondly, as far as any merger talks between leagues, and I know the one league that everybody kind of points out to is the CIS league. There were no serious talks at all. There was a discussion during the off season, one phone call discussion that did not get very far. But that was the only official communication that happened between the two leagues during the off season. So any thoughts of a merger, either for the 2018 season or in the foreseeable future, I would think is probably less likely to happen moving forward.
Okay, in our final moments with Mike Allhouse, Commissioner of the IFL and the Curtis Riggs Show, where do we go from here as far as the teams next year coming back, and that would be Western Michigan and Bloomington? Any other teams on the horizon that you can talk about that there's a possibility of trying to build up the numbers within the IFL next year?
Yeah, again, our focus is on quality and not quantity, but absolutely, we're always working on expansion efforts. It's a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job. It's not just something that we do during the off season. But we're very picky about who we add to our group. The one thing that I've learned in my time here at the IFL and at this level of professional sports is that you can't make decisions based on some sort of perceived desperation that you have to add your numbers. You just can't. You end up making mistakes in doing that. So we're going to be picky, and rightfully so. We should be picky. Our owners are very protective of who we allow into our club here and very protective of our business model. So we'll continue to operate as such. But we're very excited about the 2018 season. It's our 10th season of Indoor Football League. Again, the longest running professional indoor football league in the nation. We're very excited about some of the things that we have planned for the fans for the upcoming season, and also very excited about kicking off the season this weekend with a great rematch Sunday afternoon in Arizona, a rematch of our championship game, the United Bowl from last year. It should be a really great and exciting way to kick off the 2018 season.
I think I'm planning on being there.
I will be there with you as well. Maybe
Okay.
you and I can head down to the hotel bar and have a drink, maybe.
There you go.
But yeah, it should be a good one. Get out of this cold weather and head down to Phoenix for a few days.
We'll talk. We'll get you on the show down there. Or get you on the broadcast down there. Very good, Mike Allhouse. Thanks for being on the Curtis Riggs Show.
All right, thanks, Rich. Talk to you soon.
You bet. And this segment brought to you by Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. Third caller, 336-1230. We'll be back right after this.
Your body is a complex arrangement of bone and tissue that requires only the best to maintain it. At Orthopedic Institute, that's our specialty. Our services have been specifically tailored to provide the best orthopedic care in the region. Orthopedics is what we do. That's why Orthopedic Institute is the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
So, with our free checking, there are a few exceptions.
Wait, what is that? Did you just do air quotes?
Ma'am, just relax.
You did it again.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're still doing it.
Yeah.
Not all free checking is really free. Switch to one that is. Free Plus checking from First Premier Bank. No fees, no minimum balance, plus earn interest. Get free online and mobile banking and more. Switch today at firstpremier.com/free.
You're listening to The Curtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And this segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. And each week, our game preview interview with Storm head coach Curtis Riggs, brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. And they're located at 917 South Cliff Avenue. Sliced fresh, baked fresh, made fresh. Come see what fresh really is at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. And he is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs. Earlier, we were talking about your defense. Let's talk a little bit about your offense coming into the 2018 season. Tell us a little bit about that side of the ball.
Well, it's a mix of, I think, veterans and some new faces. And it's one that we're still kind of feeling out. And we hope we can be a little more explosive like years past. And we still want to run the ball a little bit, but we feel like we got guys we can throw the ball downfield to.
One of the things that every year going in, there's always a question about different positions, but I just want to talk about the quarterbacking position. Lorenzo Brown was your quarterback last year. Any other quarterbacks that you've brought into camp this year?
Well, we had signed 3 other quarterbacks. But we got hit by the spring football league that really many people did not know about until recently. Johnny Manziel agreed to go in and play. So now it seems to be the thing everyone knows about.
Okay.
But we lost Quinn Epperly, who we felt like was going to come in and really compete at the quarterback spot. And then we lost a kid out of Robert Morris in Penn State, a big, strong kid, Paul Jones, that just opted to stay closer to home, and a coach back, Billy Back, Wichita Falls coach, made him a lot of promises of what he could provide for him, and so he decided to go play for him in a different league. We just said, yeah, stay closer to home, and that sounds like a great deal for you, so take advantage of it. So, then Lorenzo Brown came in, and I was very upfront and honest with Lorenzo about how he really underperformed last year. And, I'm not telling him, Rich, anything he didn't already know.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he's very critical of himself, and especially as he's had time to look back at how he really tried to get by. And he had a lot of things going on, and I'm not going to make excuses for him. He knows, so as the leader of the team, I mean, you've got to be the first and the last, and that wasn't always the case for him, and it showed. And so I think, if anything, me signing those quarterbacks has really motivated him. He's come in, looked really good. But a real pleasant surprise, too, is Dylan Turner, the kid out of Dakota Wesleyan, is doing an outstanding job and has really picked up the speed of the game much better than I expected. I felt like usually it takes a lot longer, and he still has moments where he struggles, but overall he's doing a terrific job.
Have to start out the season against the Arizona Rattlers down there in their facility, and they were a very physical team last year. I don't expect that to change very much. What do you expect to see from Arizona coming in? They will have a new quarterback.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's going to be a great runner. He's just going to create havoc against our defense with, as soon as the pocket starts to break down, it's going to be like, where is he going? How do we contain him? And then, he can still throw. He's a very good passer. So it's a whole new dynamic for their offense. And it's one that you're already like, well, God, they've got a huge offensive line. They've got a huge running back and some really good skilled guys. And it's just another piece for them. And the thing we still expect, though, is both sides of the ball, they just want to play a lot of smash mouth football and really get after you. And that's kind of the identity of Coach Guy and what he's created there. And he's done a nice job of it.
One thing about it, Coach, it's actually kind of fun to start off the game, or off the season with a big game like this, and it really educates both teams as far as what they have, what they don't have, what they need to work on, and also the direction that their team is taking, it doesn't it?
It does. We have to play some teams 3 times, and I wish we were able to play Arizona 3 times. I mean, you want to play the best teams, and I feel like for us to get better and be where we want to be, these are the teams that we want to play. Either we're playing that well and beating them, or they're showing us what we need to get better at. And there's just not a lot of room to where some teams you can just get by and still win. And I felt like we did that a lot last year, Rich. And this isn't a team you can do that. And so it is fun playing teams like this.
Well, Coach, what time do we head out of town Saturday?
Boy, Rich, that's a long ways off for me. I think we fly out about 5:55 on Saturday.
Morning?
And no.
Oh, thank you.
No, yeah. No, we're gonna fly out early evening, and we'll get down there about 8:15, and have a meal and have meetings, and then it's an afternoon game, so it changes the schedule quite a bit for us.
Well, Coach, looking forward to travel again with you, and we'll see you on Saturday.
All right, thank you, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm. This segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. We'll be back with Jim Laurie in just a bit. This is the Curtis Riggs Show right here on KWSN.
There's a story.
Need a fun night out? Head over to Burnside Bingo for an exciting night of bingo. Budget-friendly, new equipment, and a fresh remodel. A variety of games to keep the excitement rolling all night, plus great food and drink specials. Try something new this week and check out the all-new Burnside Bingo. Visit burnsidebingo.com for special events and more information.
The final segment of the Curtis Riggs Show, this brought to you by Boyer Trucks, the official sponsor of our weekly podcast of the Curtis Riggs Show. That's Boyer Ford Trucks, celebrating 30 years of being employee-owned sales parts service. We keep you moving. And with us is Jim Laurie, Director of Corporate Partnerships with the Sioux Falls Storm. Everybody else had 7 months off, but Jim, you've been really busy in this past 7 months getting ready for this season, haven't you?
There you go, Rich. Every day it seems like around the clock, pretty much.
Well, I tell you what, Jim, it's exciting. We have the first game coming up on March 12th, and always things going on. Tell us about some of the things you have planned for this 2018 season.
Well, we've got some exciting giveaways, Rich, coming up. Opening night is going to be a biggie, that March 12th game. Waterbury Heating and Coleman Heating and Air Conditioning are combining for 1,000 kids' jerseys.
Oh, my.
So kids 12 and under. The jerseys actually arrived in Sioux Falls the other day. They're beautiful. They're actually an upgrade over last year. The quality is even higher than before. So it's going to be a definite want for mom and dad for your kids. Doors will open at 5. It's a 6:05 kickoff, as you know, in the March 12th game.
Uh-huh.
The April 14th game will come up. That one's going to be we're going to be giving away vehicle window clings from Boyer Ford Trucks. So that's going to be another one to watch for. Then there's a baseball cap giveaway on April 21st. So the fans will want to be there for that as well.
Well, I tell you what, Jim, a lot of things going on. Next week, we're going to be talking more specifically about everything that's going on with the Sioux Falls Storm and Jim Laurie. Thanks so much for being on the Curtis Riggs Show.
Oh, you're welcome, Rich. Thank you.
And, folks, closing seconds of the Curtis Riggs Show, thanks to Tom Falcinelli, Mike Allhouse, Jim Laurie, of course, the head coach, Curtis Riggs. And we'll be back next week. And you've been listening to the Curtis Riggs Show right here on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Good night, everybody.